So value is a really important concept in ethics. We have an entire subfield of ethics known as value theory, trying to figure out what exactly is valuable and what makes it valuable, because ethics is all about trying to figure out what is valuable and what we should do to go and get it. Now, I should say this about value. In ethics, when we talk about value, we're not just saying that something is valuable, which is to say that it's good. If I say that something is good or bad or valuable or undesirable or anything like that, anytime I'm saying that something is good or bad, I'm making a value claim. Now, why is value important and what do we mean when we talk about value in philosophy? To see that, I want to give you a quick tour of my home office. So this is my home office. It's the only room in the house that's totally mine, so it's probably the room that's most like me personally. This is my desk where I do all my writing and class planning and video editing and all of that. Up here we have some art that my oldest son made. It says, "You are my sunshine," has his little footprints on it. I really like it. My recording space where I record all of my videos with my lights and my camera and all that. My doctoral diploma from when I got my PhD. Lego Saturn V rocket, which is to scale and has 1,969 pieces. Commemorates the year we landed on the moon. And my bookshelf that has a bunch of other stuff that I really like. My books, my board games, other memorabilia. This is cool. This is a brick that my wife got me as a wedding present. The actual one is outside of Busch Stadium when they built that in 2006. And this is some dirt from the warning track at the old Busch Stadium. I'm a really big Cardinals fan, as you can tell. I took that the night they played their last game there in 2005. Some commemorative baseballs. This is a fossil I have that's really cool. I really like it. Over here we have some more stuff. Winnie the Pooh books from when I was a kid, pictures of friends from college, the gavel from when I was president of my fraternity, wine bottle from when I passed my dissertation defense, some sparkling wine, bottles from when I got my job and when I got into grad school. So what makes something valuable? Well, let's take a look at some of the stuff in my office and look for clues. For example, something you see a lot of in the background, my books. What makes a book valuable? Well, it seems like what makes a book valuable is what it can do for me. For example, books can make a really good doorstop, but they can also do other things. They can hold knowledge, they can teach me things, they can be sources of information. I also have other things like this in my office. For example, my desk where I sit and do my writing, the whole camera setup that I have here that allows me to shoot videos. These all seem valuable because they let me do things. They let me get things that I want. And if that's what makes them valuable, we as philosophers have a word for this sort of thing. We call this sort of thing instrumentally valuable. Instrumentally valuable things are good because they get us other things that we want. Now, what's important when we think about these instrumentally valuable things is we think about the chain of desires that it sort of creates. Why do I like books? Well, I like books because they help me learn things. Why do I like learning things? Well, because learning things makes you smarter, and making you smarter helps you get a better job, which helps you get more money, and so on and so forth. But if I think about that sort of chain of reasons, I reach a point where my reasons sort of eventually stop. And I'm not really able to ask what makes something good or bad. For example, we can do that with this picture right here. So this is a picture of me and my wife from when we were first years in college. This picture was taken 20 years ago. And actually we took it, we were walking around town one Sunday, we were walking downtown and we found a disposable camera that somebody had left behind in the town square by the fountain. We picked it up, we took a couple pictures, including this one. We had them developed, and I sort of just held on to that roll of film for a couple years. Now, fast forward a few years and we start dating. I remember that I have this picture, I find it, I put it in a nice frame, and it's been something that's been really important to me ever since. You might ask, what's important about this picture? Well, it reminds me of a lot of things that I really care about. It reminds me of specific things like the actual day that we took this picture. We had a lot of fun that day, just sort of running around town and not really doing anything. It reminds me of how much I love my wife, how much fun we had together in college. At a certain level, asking questions like this, why is it good to be happy or why is it good to fall in love, is a really weird question. And, don't get me wrong, I know that as a philosopher, I'm a deeply, deeply weird person, but it's a question that's worth considering for this reason. Being happy or being in love doesn't seem to be good because it lets us achieve something else. It lets us get something else that we want. Being happy or being in love or other sorts of goods like this, they seem valuable because they just are valuable. We call these sorts of things, which are good for their own sake, intrinsically valuable. Basically, intrinsically valuable things are things that just are good and they don't necessarily lead to other good things. Intrinsically valuable stuff is really important. In fact, in ethics, intrinsically valuable things are the most important things. Now, instrumentally valuable stuff is great, but it won't ultimately get what we want because it's only valuable because it gets us something else. If I have a chain of instrumentally valuable things and it never actually grounds out at some intrinsically valuable thing, then at a certain level, what's the point? I'm just sort of like chasing a chain all the way through infinity, and I'm never actually going to arrive at something that's actually valuable, that's actually worth pursuing, like happiness or love or something like that. By the same token, if I'm chasing after instrumentally valuable things and those things end up grounding out with something that I don't actually value, then I've at a certain level wasted my life. If I go to college to get good grades so I can get into med school, so I can be a doctor, so I can make lots of money, so I can have a big house, but it turns out that I don't actually care about money or having a big house or being a doctor or anything like that. None of that makes me happy, and all of that stuff prevents me from achieving the life that I really want to lead, achieving the life and going after the things that I really value, then it seems like at a certain level I've made a terrible mistake. I'm not going to be happy and I should be doing something else. Part of what makes our life valuable is doing the things that we think will actually lead to intrinsic values. And so if we want to know what we should be doing, if we want to know what our lives should be aiming at, we need to take some time to figure out what actually is intrinsically valuable in our own lives.